Welcome, everybody. The webinar will start in a few seconds. Hello, everybody. Welcome for this new webinar. Today, we're going to answer a very simple question: how to get started with GoodBarber. So if you're here, it means that you want to create your app by yourself, because you know that GoodBarber is a do-it-yourself app builder. And with this tool, with no coding skills, you're going to be able to build an app for iPhone, iPad, and Android. And this is what I'm going to show you today. So how to get started? Register on goodbarber.com to create an account. So it's very easy. You go to www.goodbarber.com/create, and you can enter an app name, your mail, and a password, and you can create your account. Let me show you how to do this. So here I'm going to goodbarber.com, and I will be prompted very quickly this screen where I can choose an app name, enter an email address, and choose a password and create an account. Let me stop here for a few seconds to explain you what we mean by the app name, because it's a very common question. You ask us, what is the name of my app? So here, when you create an account, you're not defining the name that will be used in the stores for your app. You're just defining the name that will be used to reach your project on the GoodBarber platform. So let's assume that in this form, this starting form, you have entered my project, then your email address and your password. For the lifetime of your project, your address will be myproject.goodbarber.com. But I insist on it, it's not the name that will be used for your app in the stores. The name is defined far much later in the process, and the name then is displayed on the stores like this. So don't worry about what you choose. Just remember that what you choose here will be used forever to access your account. It cannot be changed. And then you will be able later to change the name of your app and have it on the stores, the form you like. Okay? So let's see what happens when you create an account. Once your account is created, you will be directed to what we call the backend, the place where you can create your app, where you are going to use GoodBarber tool. So at the very beginning, you end in the dashboard, and the dashboard will evolve depending on your progress building your app. So as you can see here in the screen, it starts with two simple, easy steps. The first one is designing your app. The second step will be adding content, and the third step will be testing the app before submitting into the stores. Let me show you how this back office works. So on the left-hand side column, you have the main navigation, and it's divided by big functions that we'll use during the creation of your app, and also later when your app is published during every day where you're going to make things to interact with your audience. So it starts with the design. And this is the first part we are going to focus on now. So each GoodBarber project, when you... Did you see the screen or no? So each GoodBarber project, when they're created, they comes with preloaded content so that you can see before creating the project what could be the result of using the tool. So when I enter my backend for the first time, I see some content that is sample content to let me show very quickly how the product is going to behave and how things will look as far all along the time I'm going to create my app. So let me show you this in the backend. So here I'm in my GoodBarber backend, and I'm going to start designing my app. So the backend works in a very easy way, very simple way. In the center of the screen, you have the preview of what you're doing, okay? And on the left hand side, on the right hand side, sorry, you have a panel you can use to customize some parts of your app. So first, what I suggest you do is to browse the theme library to try to identify a theme that will have the best match with your project. So let me show you how to do this. You have a big orange button called Theme Library. You click on it, and you will be prompted with some designs that are created by our designers here in-house. Okay, there are more than 50 templates you can use, and you can use them as an inspiration to start your project, because they are all 100% customizable, or you can use them as is if you want. They are ready to go. Just choose a template, put your content, and you already have a beautiful app. So to be able to see how a template looks like, just choose one. And here there is a quick overview of what will be applied to your app. So you see the default fonts that will be used in the app, a sample of the icons that we choose to put in this app, and the main colors. You can apply this theme to your project, or you can have a live preview if you want. So let's have the live preview of this theme called Quickly. It will load in your backend, and you will see the default content appearing. And as you can see, the preview here is interactive. You can click on it, and you can look how the apps behave. Okay. So now content is loading, and I can see how this app will behave if I choose this theme. So let's go back to the first screen, and you can see those two arrows here. It means that you can browse from one theme to one other. Okay. So now I'm going to load another theme called Gold. As you see, the navigation is different, and doing so, you may find one inspiration, one kind of navigation you like, one kind of display for the articles, the photo you like, and you may want to apply this to your app. So we are going to apply this theme to this app called Webinar. So I hit apply, and I push continue. So now this theme is applied to my app. So before going deeper in the customization of the design, let me just explain you how an app with GoodBarber is structured. So here on the right-hand side with the panel, you see that it's divided in 3 tabs: Basic, Advanced, and Options. I suggest you start with Basic, because this is the place where you are going to customize the main components of your app. And the app is divided in five components, very basic components that needs to be customized to start your project. The first one is the menu. What we call menu, in fact, is the navigation mode that can be used in GoodBarber. So let me show you the different modes that can be used. So we have several types of navigation. The first one is called swipe or little swipe. So it is a navigation on the left-hand side. When you click here on this button, it will slide on the right, and the menu will appear. So this kind of navigation is very interesting if you have a lot of entries in your app. The second type is called typo, and it has two variations, typo and large typo. It's used if you want to apply flat designs or something very, very pure into your app. So you can choose this kind of navigation. Another type is called grid, and it has another version that is called slate. And as you can see, the sections here are directly available in the first screen of your app. So this kind of navigation is very useful if you have few entries for your content in your app. And then there is the last type of navigation that is called the tab bar. It's a very classical type of navigation. As you can see here, you can customize the tab bar or use the classic mode of the tab bar that was introduced by Apple with the first apps that were designed for the iPhone. Okay, so let's go back to our backend to see how to customize the app. If you have questions, if you want me to stop on something and to detail, you can use the group chat feature in this Hangout, or you can use the Q&A section in the video. Okay. So now I'm going to change the design of my app. So here is the goal template with the grid navigation mode, and I prefer to change this kind of navigation. So I go here, and I am prompted with all the type of navigation available for my app. So as you can see, each time you have a visual feedback of what you're going to choose. So here we find the swipe, the tab bar, the little swipe, the grid, and so on. So let's say I like the little swipe because it's a very visual and an interesting kind of presenting the navigation. And now this navigation is applied to my app. As you can see in the preview, you can always browse the app, navigate on it to see what is the result of what you're doing. Okay? So customizing the menu is the first thing you have to do. Okay? After that, you can hit next to enter the second part of the design of your app, that is called the header. So the header is this part here, where this part is always visible in your app. So you can customize it, and it's an element that has a lot to play. Sorry, in your brand identity, in your identity. So here, for instance, I can change the title in my header. Just here, I'm going to use the name of my app, webinar. Okay. And as you see, each time you make an action in the panel on the right-hand side, this modification is applied automatically in the preview so that you can see what you do. I can change the font color of my header here. And you get the ID each time. It's what you see is what you get result. And there is no coding skill necessary to customize the app. So we have worked here on the header. We can work on the background of this header. Here it's a black color. I can choose an image if I want. I can apply some effects like gradients. Those effects appear when the app is built natively in the iOS app. Okay. And I can customize everything in my header to have the app look as I want. So let's assume I'm done with this part, designing my header. I'm going to hit next to start to design another big element of my app, that is the body. So the body is this part here where the content will be displayed. So here I'm displaying articles, and in this body I have the list of articles and I have the detail of my article. The same way we did the customization for the header, we are going to do it for the body. So you can customize the background of this body. So here it's the black color. I'm going to switch to white, for instance. Or I can use a picture instead of a color for my background. So let's put it back to black. I can work also on separators. So in this view, there is no separators, but if I change it, let me find a view where I have some separators. So here we have some separators. So I can choose to change the color of those separators, right? And I can apply also some modifications to the margin of my background. I can make it bigger or smaller depending on what I want to apply in my app. So up to you to decide what you want to do. Okay. So before going next and speaking about those two elements, splash screen and icon, let's make a quick focus on the advanced menu. Okay. So if I click on advanced, I will see the whole navigation of my app. As you can see here, I have one section called articles, calendars, photos, videos, Twitter, and you see those sections here. And for each section, the construction of the app is always the same. You have the list of items of the section. So here I have a list of article. After this list, when I click into an item, I have the item itself. And you can customize this list and this item. I'm going to show you how to do this. So let's go back to the list. Here I have a list of articles, and the template that was automatically put by default to the gold theme was template number 3. But I can change this. I can change template number 1 if I want. Okay, so this template, you have a thumbnail on the left, the title of your article, and a quick summary. Okay. Template number 2 is a different variation where the first article has a bigger thumbnail than the other one. Let me show you one now, template number 4. This is one I like very much because you can have the 3 most recent articles of your list accessible here with a sliding navigation. And if you have big and very beautiful pictures in your articles or in your photos or videos, it's a great template to use to to have your content put in the best light. Okay. And template 5 is the same as template 4, but there is only one article that is put in the header, and below there is a grid navigation. And let's finish by template 7 and template 8. So template 7 here, it's very visual template for your list, in the sense that when you are at the list level, you only see one article. It's article by article. And if you slide like this, you can go from one article to one other, okay? And it's very visual kind of navigation for a list, but it's very beautiful one. I like it very much. So now let's go down, let's enter one article and see how to customize it. So I'm in the sun, sound, and nothing else article. And if I go back to the advanced menu, if I choose the item article in my section here, I'm going to be able, I am able to apply some customization to this element. So as you can see, it works here also with templates. The default template used in the theme I've chosen was template number 4. And in template number 4, the specification of this template are the following. You have a toolbar here that appears with a sliding effect on the right-hand side. And you have below each article a pager so that you can see where you are in the list, in the navigation in the list, okay? Let's change this template and choose template number 3. So with template number 3, the effect is different. Okay, it's a popping down effect to have the buttons for the toolbar. And if you're familiar with Android platform, you see that this kind of toolbar is inherited from the Android world. Okay, if you prefer to have something which is much more something which belongs more to the iOS world, you can select template number 1, for instance, where you have here below the toolbar where people can put comments on your articles, share the content, or change the size of the text. And template number 2, you will have the toolbar up with the controls above the article. So let's go back to the Advanced tab. And as you can see, the way the structure of each section is always the same. A list of items and an item, and you can customize each one. So it's the same for the list, event page, for the photos, for the videos. And each time you enter one type of content, you will be prompted with some templates that can be applied only for this type of content, okay? So for the sound, for instance, you will have the choice to choose different types of players, because the item in the sound section is something that can be played in a player, and you will be able to choose what kind of player you want for your app. There is a last tab called Options. We are not going to cover this during this webinar because it's much more advanced customization of the app. It will be detailed in another webinar. But in this Option tab, you have some features you may want to activate in your app, and I would like to speak about them now. For instance, the audio playback. So audio playback is a feature you can use if you want that when someone hit play to listen to a song or to a sound in your app, if the app goes in the background, if you close the app and go to Safari or another app in the phone, the sound will be still playing in the device. And to control the sound, people will use the default control in the phone, okay? So it can be activated here in options. So you will find in options things like that are advanced features for your app, and you can find them here. Let's speak now about the splash screen and the icon. So the splash screen and the icon are elements that are mandatory to be able to build your app. So let's just make one quick stop about this to explain you the big concept of that. GoodBarber is an app builder that builds native apps. It means that if you build the app for iOS or for Android, you will use, without knowing it, different technologies that are inside GoodBarber. In fact, we have 3 engines who builds your app when you hit the button build. We have one engine for iOS, and the app that will be built with this engine will be able to run only on iOS devices, and this app will be published on the App Store. We have one engine for Android, and one engine to create an HTML5 web app that can be used in every browser, in every mobile. Okay? So building the app means that there is a program, a script that is executed to construct the app, and after this construction, you will retrieve a file that will be uploaded to the stores. And to be able to build this file, you need to give to GoodBarber some important elements. And among those elements, you have the splash screen and the icon. So I'm going to show you now how to put the splash screen and the icon. And remember that the icon and the splash screen are the first assets people see when they launch your app. So they are also very important for you to present your app to the public. So let's jump back to the back office. So I'm on design, step number 4, where I need to upload a splash screen to my app. So as you can see now, it's empty. I have 2 options. If I already have pictures, I can use those buttons here to upload them to the platform, and I will be done, okay? But you also can use a tool we have developed that is called the wizard. And with this tool, you don't need to create an image with the perfect size that is required to create a splash screen for iPhone 5S and 5C, iPhone 4S, iPhone 6, and so on. The wizard is going to create all those pictures for you. So let's use it. I'm going to put the name of my app here, webinar. If I want, I can put a subtitle, Barber. I can change here the font of my title. Okay. Let's go back to Arial. Choose the color. The same for the baseline and the background. So background, maybe I can make something like this. And when I hit generate, it will create all the images that are mandatory to build my app. So now I have created splash screens for all my apps, the iPhone app, the tablet app, sorry, and the Android app. Now I'm going to show you the other way to put images for the splash screen and the icon. It will be the same. So let's remove this image for the iPhone 5S, 5C, and let's upload one image. So here I'm going to choose one image in my computer. I upload it, and I did it on purpose. This image doesn't have the size that is required for this splash screen. So as you can see, this image is not cropped as it should be to have a very good result. So we have developed a tool, a cropping tool. If you click here on the crop icon, you will be able to choose the area in your picture to crop and to select a perfect splash screen for your app. Okay, so now I've cropped my splash screen, and I'm ready to go to the next step, which is putting an icon into my app. This is the last step to customize the design and being able to then build the app. So as you can see here, when you are going to put your icon in your app, you're also asked to give a name to your app. So it goes back to my first my first word at the beginning of this webinar. Let's speak about, once again, what is the name of my app. Here, the name you are going to put is the name that will be available on the springboard of the phone. Okay, so let me show you my phone. So here you can see the springboard of my phone. And the name here, GoodBarber, below this icon, is the name that is displayed on the springboard. And I can select this name in the menu Design icon. So let's go back to the backend so that I can show you again where to choose this name and where to customize this name. So here I choose to put webinar. Okay, and let's put an icon. So before uploading an image, you see that you can use also the wizard. So let's use the wizard. And in the wizard, you can put 3 letters to create an icon. And let's change, for instance, the color here. And I click generate. Okay. So now, as for the design, the first step in the building process of my app, I'm done. It was a quick overview of what you can do to customize the design of your app. But as you saw, there are many advanced options where you can go to be very precise in the customization you want to make to your app. Okay. We are going to switch now to another big part of the building process of the app, which is adding content inside GoodBarber. So you have 2 options if you want to add content into your app. The first one is you can connect GoodBarber to existing content you already have in the internet. So you can connect GoodBarber to your WordPress blog, to your Flickr account, Instagram, to your YouTube channel, to many platforms where you already have content. We have built more than 40 connectors to retrieve existing content you already have. This is the first option to put content inside the app. The second one is to create directly into the back office, the backend, the content that you want to have in your app. And for you to be able to do so, we have developed a tool that is called a content management system, but not for websites, but for apps. And I'm going to show you both techniques, linking to an existing source and using the CMS, the GoodBarber CMS, okay? There is a third possibility, is to put what we call custom sections or plugins. There are two kinds of sections, the custom and the plugins. They have some differences, but the main idea with those two sections is that you are going to put content, but you need coding skills to do that, because you are going to use those sections as empty shells where you are going to put your code that will retrieve content somewhere or display content you want to code directly into GoodBarber, okay? Let's jump to the back office, the back end, and I show you how to connect content and also how to create content inside the CMS. So welcome back to the backend. I have switched the menu. I'm now in content. And as you can see, my backend is not empty. I have some sample sections here. And those sections have been added when I created my project, when I registered the first time in GoodBarber. I have cheated a little. Here you see there is a section called webinar, and we will go inside later. But when you create your project, the only thing you see are sample sections. This one shouldn't be here, but I've prepared in advance some content for you. The main idea with the content section is mainly the same as the design section. You have in the center of the screen the visual feedback of what you have added into your app, and on the right-hand side a panel, a contextual panel that will be used to apply modification and customization. Okay. So let's add a new section into my app. I click here on Add Section, and by default, I am prompted with the most popular sections used by GoodBarber users. So as you can see, they love to create articles with the built-in CMS. We will see this later. Put photos, videos, sounds. So you can choose among all those connectors to put content you already have somewhere on the internet. We have filtered those sections by category. So let's say you want to link to your app some photos you have on an external service, like Flickr, for instance. You just choose this service and you enter the configuration page of this section. So the first thing to do is to name the section. I'm going to name this section photos of Corsica. And I'm going to put my Flickr ID. So I know my Flickr ID by heart. Just hit add. And now our connector is going to retrieve the photos I have on Flickr. Okay. So it says no content found, but there should be content. Let me check. Yes, we have content in this source. Okay, so maybe I made a mistake with my username that I'm supposed to know by heart. Now it's okay. So here I have all the photos, the public photos I have in my Flickr account. And as you can see, they are not all photos from Corsica. Here are photos from a trip to Amsterdam when we went to the next conference last year with Dominique. So let's go back to the settings of this section and apply a filter. I'm going to filter the content I want in my app based on the categories that I have created in my Flickr account. And I have a category called This is Corsica. And I'm going to name this category for my app, Corsica. I hit the plus button. I save my change. And if I go back to source here, you will see that you have only photos from the Flickr set called Corsica. So here you have the visual feedback of what will be put in the app, inside the app, but it's not the way it will be displayed. If you want to see the way it will be displayed, you just go back to the design menu and you can use the preview mode here to browse your app and go to this new added section called Photos of Corsica, and you will see the way those photos will be displayed, the list, and inside the list, the items, the photos directly. So let's go back to content. So I have my sample sections. I can remove them if I want because I don't need them in my app. And I have my own sections here. So I showed you how to connect an existing source to your app. Now I'm going to show you how to create directly content inside GoodBarber. So the first thing to do is to add a section that belongs to the GoodBarber CMS. So if you go to articles, for instance, you will recognize here external services, WordPress, WMaker, Blogger, WordPress.com, Typepad, and so on. And here you have a section called articles. And this is the built-in feature to create articles directly into GoodBarber. So as you can see here, webinar is a section with the type article. Let's go inside this section. So in this section, it's a little bit different. I can add directly content. So here I have added 2 articles. This one, I can enter this article and edit it if I want. So this article has a title. I can edit my title if needed. And then you can add paragraphs into your article to display different things. So here is a paragraph of text. Here is a paragraph with a photo. And if I want, I can insert a new paragraph with text, photos, videos, a quote, or an embed code. So let's add text, for instance. So this is text in my third paragraph. Okay. To validate this modification, I can hit here the publish button. Here you see that this button is green and it's named publish. It means that this modification I have made is already published to my audience. What I could have done something different is to save as draft this article, and this article, if this article is a draft, sorry, it won't be visible in the app by my users, only me in the backend. Okay. So let's put it back to the publish status. With the built-in GoodBarber CMS, you can add 4 types of content: articles, as we saw here, videos, photos, and sounds. And based on that, you're capable to add a lot of things into your app. So let's make a little break and check what we've seen until now. So we know how to create an app from the GoodBarber portal. We know how to choose a theme using the theme library. We know how to customize this theme once it's chosen. We know how to put splash screens using the wizard or using images we have already prepared. We know how to create an icon or to upload an icon we already have and set the name of the app as it will appear in the springboard of the app. So now we've worked a lot on the computer screen, but what really matters for us is to see the result on this. So the next section in the webinar is how to test my app. And you will see that you have several possibilities to test the app. And I'm going to show you how to test. Let's go back to the backend. So I'm back in my backend, and now I'm going to explore the third step called test your app. In your main navigation, you see you have this menu called Publish, and testing the app starts with hitting this Publish menu. So let's go to see what's behind. This Publish menu is divided in 5 submenus. The first one is called Update. And this Update menu is a menu where we log all the modifications you made to your app. So as you see here, I made, since we began this webinar, 46 modifications. And those modifications have not yet been published to my audience. Then there is, we will go back later to see very briefly what is the difference between submit your app and update now. Let's review now the other submenus. There is another menu called App Test, and this is the one we are going to use to test the app we have just created. And you also have a submission that is another big step in the building process, which is when you have tested your app, you're happy with the result, you will want to publish the app into the stores, and you will use this submission menu here. And the 2 remaining menus are used when the app is published to check some certificates and also to grab the URLs of your app in the stores. Okay, let's speak now about how to test the app. So in this app test menu, we have developed for iOS. It's not ready yet for Android, but for iOS, it's ready and working very well. An app called My GoodBarber app, and you can use this app to see the result of the modification you've made in the backend. Okay, so this app can be found in the iTunes Store. It's a free app. You can download it from the App Store, install it on your phone, and when it's done, you will be able to launch directly the app you have created from this My GoodBarber app. So let's see how it works. I'm going to share my screen, my phone screen. So now you should be able to see my phone. And My GoodBarber app is this blue icon here. I launch it, and I'm going to register with my credentials, the same credentials I use to go to my backend. So while I'm typing my my credentials, you can go and download my GoodBarber. Okay, I log in. And as you can see in this My GoodBarber app, you can retrieve all the projects you're working on. And you recognize my very beautiful icon, webinar, with this characteristic pink color. So let's enter this project. And when I enter my webinar project, I land in one tab called Stats. And this tab will be very useful once my app is published. But as for now, I want to test. So I'm going to the Test tab. And I have two options to test the app. I have the HTML5 preview and the native preview. I'm going to start with the HTML5 preview and explain you the difference later. So HTML5 preview is just a link to see your app in the phone's browser, and you will see the app as people will see it if they access it from a browser. So here I'm in Safari, and I can browse the app from the browser. So let's go to the Facebook section, for instance, and here you can use the app on your phone and see if the result suits you. So that's the first possibility to test the result, is to use the HTML5 app. The second option is to use the native preview. So the native preview is, in fact, the behavior will be different because we are not going to use the app inside a browser. We are going to use the app as if it was used and downloaded from the App Store. And you will see that the difference between the HTML5 preview and the native preview exists because when you create native apps, they are more smooth, they are faster than HTML5 apps, because native apps, they use the phone's capabilities and are tailored to benefit from the power of the phone to display the content, access resources, and so on. So I'm going to go to the native preview of this app. Let's share my screen. So when I click the native preview, the first thing is what you see is the splash screen you have put in the fourth step of the design section. So now my app is launching, and there is a progress bar above that shows some elements are retrieved, from the network. Here, this is my GoodBarber app that calls elements from the webinar app I'm created. So it takes a little time to get those features appear into the app. So let's speak about something that is related to that when it's charging. So it was loaded now, but I want to speak about something else just right now. Let's go back to the backend. So here, I go to the changelog screen. In this changelog screen, where you can see all the modification you've made to your app, you will see that there are two types of modifications. The modifications with the black cloud and modifications with a green icon. Let me show you what is a modification with a green icon. Let's say I'm adding a new section, a photo section. So this is a CMS section. I'm going to add a photo. Okay, photo is uploaded. And now I'm ready to go back to the publish menu. So here you see that there is this green icon saying to modification on this day. I can see the detail. The photo section has been added and the title of the photo CMS section has been modified. So two types of modifications, the black modifications and the green modifications. The green modifications can be sent directly to the app on the phone with no submissions to the stores. Okay, so if I go now to look at my GoodBarber app, and we are going to see the result in a few minutes in the backend, you will see that the available sections in my test app are different between the section that I see in my backend. So let me show you my phone. So this is my phone with my webinar app, with my little swipe navigation, and you see I have here my photos of Corsica section. And if you remember the backend, you will see that there is a new section called Photo CMS that I can't see here in my test app. I'm going to show you this by sharing the screen entirely, not the app, and you will see that. So here you can see my GoodBarber, okay, and you can see the backend. And here in the navigation, I have photos of Corsica, but Photo CMS is missing. So let's go and update my app, and you will see what happens. So now update is in progress. So it takes a few minutes, a few seconds to send the new parameters to the app. And I'm going, while I'm explaining you that, I'm going to relaunch my GoodBarber app. So here it's launched again, and I'm going to show you my screen. And you will see that this new section is available in my test app. So now, if I go down to the little swipe menu, I can see the Photo CMS section with the photo I have just added in this new section. Okay. So this is the way you can test your app with my GoodBarber. And if you pinch, you go back to the controller, and you can select here using those two little bars another project. Okay. So we've seen two ways to test the app: the HTML5 preview that will be used by users who have Windows phones and Blackberries, So we call it a preview, but it's not a preview. It's the real web app that will be used by those kind of users who don't have devices we create native apps for. And there is this native preview that is called inside another app. But this is really a preview. It's not the result you will get when you're ready to publish your app. And before publishing your app, we have another way, a last way to test your app. And this last way is you really need to make this test, because with this new possibility I'm going to explain, you are going to test the exact copy of what will be sent to the stores. Okay. And to be able to test this exact copy of your app before sending it to the stores, you need to build your app. So I'm going to explain you briefly what is the submission process. And at the end of this submission process, you can retrieve a file that is installed in your phone. You can launch the app in your phone, just like if you have just downloaded the app from the store. Let's go back to the backend and I explain you what is the submission process. I'm here in the backend. So it's time for me to build my app, because I'm very close to the point where I want to have it published in the stores. So I've tested it on HTML5. It looked fine. I tested it in the native preview. It looked also fine. So now I want to make a last test with what we call the ad hoc version. The ad hoc version is the exact copy of the app that will be sent to the store. So to create this ad hoc version, you need to build your app, and you need to go to the menu Publish Submission, iOS or Android. Before being able to enter this menu, we have some controls to make. And those controls will tell you if you're able to build your app or not. If some elements in your configuration are missing, it will be prompted in the screen, and you won't be able to build the app. And as you can see in this example, most of the tasks were done with success, and some tasks are remaining. So here, I have said in my app that I wanted my users to be able to share content in Facebook and Twitter, but I didn't provide the good parameters to create this connection with the social networks. So that's the reason why we are not able to build the app, because some elements are missing. Let's go quickly in the design option menu to fix that. So here I go to sharing and restriction, and I say that I don't want to have restriction inside my app, sharing, sorry. I go back to the Publish Submission iOS menu, and you see now that you can enter the submission process. So two options for you now. The first way, we call it the ninja way, is the path where you're going to create all the necessary elements, files that GoodBarber needs to build your app. And in this path, you will have to make some interaction with the stores, with the App Store or with Google Play if you build for Android. So at this point, whatever is the path you choose, the Ninja way or the GoodBarber way, you will need to be registered as a developer at Apple and at Google if you want to publish on both platforms. So let's assume from this point that I am registered as a valid developer at Apple. I have my credentials and I can access their tools to retrieve elements that are needed to build apps for that platform. So I'm a ninja or I'm not a ninja. If I'm not a ninja, I can choose a path that is called the GoodBarber way, where you can take an option. It's a $50 option, and you will give us an access to your developer account on Apple or Google, and we will build the app and follow all the steps of the submission process on your behalf. We'll do it for you, okay? So let's choose the ninja way because ninjas are following this webinar today. I begin my submission. So you see that it's a 6-step process from 0 to 6, so it's a 7 steps process, in fact, where we ask you questions about what you are going to do. So is it the first time you create an app? If it's the case, we are going to show you how to create a developer certificate that is used to sign the app and to show in the stores that you are the developer of this app. If it's not the first time this app will be put on the stores, if it's an update of an existing app, we will take you on the right path so that you can make an update of an existing project. So maybe among the audience today, there is people who have created an app with another tool, who have created an app by themselves using Xcode, and they prefer to use GoodBarber today, but their app is already published on the stores. It's possible to create a project inside GoodBarber and make it be an update of an existing project already published on the App Store. If it's the case, if it's what you want to do, you just have to know that for you users, it will be a total seamless change, because for them, once your app is built in GoodBarber and once is submitting to Apple or Google and reviewed and approved, for them, it will just be an update on their phone of this app. They won't see that you have changed from one tool to another, okay? So in this submission process, it's the same for iOS and Android, the same spirit. You need to retrieve files with Apple. You need to upload them to GoodBarber. You need to retrieve API keys, certificates with Google, things like that. It's a very guided process, so don't be afraid. You can do it by yourself. Every step is detailed with screenshots where you are guided step by step to do what is needed to retrieve all the elements to build the app, okay? So once you've reached the last step, you will be prompted with a button that is called Build My App. So I have just switched to another project, and you see you will be prompted with this screen, Build My Application. And once you hit this screen, we are going to build the app. So let's do it for this project. So I'm going to build this app. The build is in progress. And after 10 to 20 minutes, the app will be ready to be tested on your phone. And this is what I'm going to show you now. So let's switch to the view of my phone. So here on my phone, you see I have an icon called Freeze with this picture of snow. And this Freeze project is the project I have just hit the button Build right after jumping to my GoodBarber app. So let's enter the Freeze app. So the Freeze app has some stats because it has already been published. And if I go to the test button in my GoodBarber app, you see that there is a link below the HTML5 preview that says, download the ad hoc version built on October the 9th. So that was today, just before this webinar. I'm going to click on this link, and you will see that I'm prompted, do I want to open this app? That means, do I want to install this app on my phone? And you will see that here, the app is going to be downloaded on my phone. But as you saw, I didn't go to the App Store. I'm just using the ad hoc version, the exact copy of what will be sent to Apple or to Google. If we were building an Android app, it's the same. It works the same way. You can have an ad hoc version for Android too to test your app on your phone. So now the app is going to be downloaded in my phone, and I will be able to test it. And this way of testing your app is the ultimate way, the ultimate test you need to do, because not only you're going to test the app just like your final users will use your app once it's published, but also you can test some cool features like push notifications and things like that, because this app can receive push notifications. You just need to know one thing about the ad hoc version. The ad hoc version can be installed only on a limited set number of devices. During the submission process, when you create the certificates, all the files that we need to build the app, on the step number 6, we ask you to give us one certificate, one mobile provision file, that contains a list of devices that will be authorized to install the ad hoc version. So sometimes in the support, you ask us, hey, I've just built my app, I try to install it on my phone, but the ad hoc version won't download. Why? What's happening? Most of the time, and 99% of the time, it doesn't work on your phone because you didn't declare this phone to be authorized to download the ad hoc version. So make sure that you have authorized the phone you're going to install the ad hoc version into to be able to download the ad hoc version. So now the ad hoc version is ready, and let's go to see the result. You should be able to see the screen of my phone. So now I have the Freeze app installed right next to the GoodBarber app. Let's launch Freeze. So Freeze, I didn't present you, sorry, the content of Freeze, but you have some articles. So here are articles from the GoodBarber blog, also YouTube videos from the GoodBarber blog. And Freeze, it's the exact copy of what will be published in the stores. So as you can see, you can test features like the submit section, where I can take a picture of my environment. So here I can show you what is around me. So let's take the picture of this built-in progress screen and use it to send it to the app owner myself. So I'm the author of this wonderful video, and I'm going to send it to myself, the app owner. Okay, I hit send, and I send the medium size of these photos. Okay, this is something you users will do once your app is published, and you can test every single feature of your app before sending it to the stores. So time is running. I wanted to make it like 45 minutes webinar. It's more than an hour now, so it's a lot of information. We have covered the basics to to build an app with GoodBarber. So we now know how to create a project. We know how to modify the design, to choose a template and modify it. We know how to add content inside the app. We know how to test it. And we briefly view what must be done to build it, to be able then to test the ad hoc version on your phone and to submitting it to the stores. We will cover build and submission in video tutorials and other webinars. So as for today, I think we have covered we have answered the main question of this webinar, how to get started with GoodBarber. So if you want to ask questions, I can answer now. So use the chat window of this video or the Q&A section. I'm just going to check if there are some questions in the Q&A section. Okay, so I recognize the names of you, my dear users, and so you were asking at the beginning. It's right that I forgot to share my screen, so that's the reason why it wasn't working. But after that, it was okay. So a question from Jean-Philippe. When GoodBarber will be ready for iOS 8 and for iPhone 6 screen sizes? A very good question. So since Tuesday, the beginning of the new sprint, I don't know if you're familiar with the Scrum methodology, but this is the methodology we use to add new features and to develop the product. We organize our work into what we call sprints, and in each sprint there are stories, and in each stories we develop new features. So a sprint lasts 15 days, and in the sprint that began this week, we have added the iOS 8 and iPhone 6 screen sizes compatibility. So it will be available next week or the week after. I'm going to jump now to another question. Is it possible to send push notifications for one specific article to direct the users directly to that article once open the push notification? Okay, that's a question from Mossad. So in the push notification menu, let's go back to the back office. I'm going to show you where it is. You can indeed select an article, and when users will open the notification, they will be directed to that article directly. So in my backend here, I have a users menu, and in this menu, I have the push notification menu where I can write my message, my notification. I can choose the time when it will be sent. And here I have this link drop-down menu where I can add a link to my notification. So it can be an external link if I want to have users open the notification and be directed to something outside my app, or I can choose a content that is written inside my app, that is available inside my app. So here it's organized by sections. You see that blog JB is the first section of this app. And inside the blog JB section, I can choose one article in particular. Let's choose the webinar, how to get started with GoodBarber. And I can send this notification. You see that in my test app, it will be sent to 2 iOS devices and 4 Android devices. So let's hit send, and this notification will be sent to those people. And when they open it, they will be directed to that article. Okay, another question, when the reseller dashboard will be released? Can you tell us the feature of the reseller dashboard? So another question from Masab. So the reseller dashboard will be released maybe, I think, we are the 9th of, by the end of October, I think, because in the we don't know if we are going to include it in this sprint now. We discussed it this morning. Do we switch some stories to add the reseller in this sprint, or wait for the coming sprint? But it will be done before the end of the year, and the features will be the following. So first, the reseller dashboard will be a single point for you to manage all the app you create with GoodBarber. So from one interface, you will be able to see all your project, active project, deleted project, project with pending invoices, and things like that. And you will be able, from the reseller dashboard, to jump from one project to another. Okay, you will be you will go to each backend from this single point. That's the first feature. The second feature is that in this reseller dashboard, you will be able to enter some custom elements, like your logo, your default news feed that will be prompted to your clients when they enter the back office, so that their whole experience in their back office, your customers, is a 100% white label experience. Let me show you what I'm speaking about. I'm going to share my screen of the backend. So here, I'm going to jump to one of our users' backend. So it's one of our users in Italy. The app is called Jockey. It has been featured in the Italian App Store 2 times, I think. So it's an app that has great success in Italy. And here you see in the What's New screen, when you enter the dashboard, the backend, in the first screen, you have some news about what happens with your app, but also some news from the GoodBarber community. So with the reseller dashboard, you will be able to customize what will be the news that will appear here for your customers. Okay. Also, you see here there is a GoodBarber logo. You will be able to put your logo here. So it will be a 100% a white label experience for your users. Let's jump to another question. So one question from Jérôme. Is it possible to share an Instagram feed? Yes, we have an Instagram connector, so you can connect to your Instagram account and you can display your photos if you want, or you can display the photos associated to one hashtag. So the next question from Amal. When the old version dashboard will be transferred to the new version for the current users? So for existing users, there is a migration rollout in progress. If you're ready to make the switch from GoodBarber 2 to GoodBarber 3, if you want to have the switch be done before the rollout comes to your project, you can open a ticket to the support, and we will make the migration manually for you. Let me show to new users how to use the support. So let's go back to the back office. So here I'm in my webinar backend. In this menu, I have the support link where I can choose a category. Let's choose content. So each time you choose a category, we prompt you with some online helps, because you can find the answer by yourself quicker than waiting from someone answering you from the support. And when you choose a subcategory, so let's say photo sections, continue, you will be able to ask something. So how is it possible to connect to Instagram? So I put the title of my request, and then I send my question. Hello, I'd like to connect my Instagram account. Is it possible? So this, when I hit the send button, it will be sent to our support team, and people are going to answer this ticket. Okay. Let's jump to another questions. So a question from Andreas: how to make the backend a white label version with my domain? So we have answered about the white label, the 100% white label experience of the backend in the previous question, but I'm going to use this question to explain how to link a domain name to your GoodBarber backend, so that your accessing your backend will be made from another domain, and also the HTML5 web app. So let's go to the backend to show you where it is. So here in the publish menu, you see that in the submission submenu, I have iOS, Android, and HTML5. So HTML5, what is a submission for HTML5? It is a no sense to speak about submission for HTML5, but we put here under submission for HTML5 the link, a feature where you can link a domain name to your GoodBarber web app. So here you just choose the subdomain that will be used. So it can be m.yourdomain.com. You click OK. So let's put my domain.com. I put OK, and here now what you have to do is to go to your registrar, the place where you bought mydomain.com, and to create a CNAME record for m.mydomain.com and make it point to our servers. So it's detailed in one online help. So it's not very difficult. You can ask the support to help you if you don't manage to do it. But once you have installed, we have installed this domain in our servers, your app will be available from m.mydomain.com. And if you go to m.mydomain.com/manage, you will go to the backend. Next questions. The My GoodBarber, the app My GoodBarber will be white label. Okay. So this question from Amal, the thing is to know if there will be a My GoodBarber white label app for resellers. We want to do an app like this, but it will take a little time. So to be totally honest with you, first we will release the dashboard, and when the dashboard is released, we will work on the My GoodBarber for resellers, and it will be a white label app so that you can propose it to your users to use. As for today, there is no big thing that prevents us to do it. Maybe if we go further in the development, we will find a big pitfall and we will decide if it's still possible, but I hope we will be able to propose this feature for resellers. Okay, so next question from Ama. When the store feature coming to GoodBarber, like e-commerce, coupon, geolocation stores, ads, coupon like that? Okay, so those are not yet in the roadmap, but the product managers and the marketing team are working on those sections. There will be some good surprises at the end of the sprint that started this week. I'm not going to spoil in this webinar, but you will have features like this very soon. So, next question from Sebastian. When there are videos in articles from WMaker or others, is it played into the app or in the phone's browser? Good question. So, each time we can, when we create a connector, we try to access directly to the video file on the service where you put your video. So, if we have access to this file, we are able to use the built-in player of the phone to display the video. So it depends on the services, if they give us access to this file or not. Some let us retrieve this file, access to this file, and play it in the default player of the phone. Others, they don't, and we need to use other techniques like iframes and things like that to display the videos. So if you have in mind a specific platform, I see that you speak about WMaker. For WMaker, we have access directly to the source file because WMaker is a CMS created by GoodBarber, by our mother company that is called WebZine. So it's deeply integrated with GoodBarber, so we have access to the file and we play it in the default browser. Okay, next. Can we create sub-menus inside a menu? A question from Enrique. Very good question. So, the answer is yes, we can, and we can since yesterday or the day before yesterday, because we've made a release the day yesterday, yes. We didn't speak about this on the blog yet, but it would be made very soon. If you go to your backend and you go to sections, you will see that there is a new section called menu. And with this menu, you can create a section and subsections inside a section. Okay, so go and check it, and the post on the blog and all the details to use this new feature will come quickly next week. So, is it possible to put multiple podcasts under one folder or button? Okay. So for to answer this question, if you were here at the beginning of the webinar, you saw that when I connected my Flickr account, I was able to retrieve at first all the items from this source. And also I was able to filter one category in this source, one set, one album. I'm going to show you, it will be easier. So let's go back to the back office. Here, I go to content, and there is my Flickr source. So I take Flickr in example, but it will be the same for podcasts. For podcasts, you have to create your XML file. So if your XML file is well structured and you can have the documentation in the online help to see how the file needs to be structured, you will be able to reproduce the same behavior. So here you see I have one set that will be displayed in this section. This set is called Corsica. I can now add a new set, London, for instance. Sorry, I need to hit. So too quick. So this is Corsica. Will point to the folder named Corsica, and now I'm going to add a new category, London, and I'm going to name it London, and I click plus. So now, if I save my changes, I go back to sources, and I will have the London photos here and the Corsica's photo here. If we go to the design, you will see how it looks in the app. So let's imagine those are podcasts. So if I go to my podcast section, in this section, in this kind of navigation, I will have all the podcasts of London in this tab and all the podcasts of London in this tab. This view is customizable, so I show you how to customize it. I go to advanced. I go to what is supposed to be my podcast section, and I can, sorry, here. Okay, this is the template I have. I can choose Circumbound, for instance. And here you see podcast of Corsica here and podcast of London here. So, new questions. Hamal, please, I have a Extreme feature request. If you guys add this integration with WooCommerce, WordPress plugin, very popular. So there will be features for e-commerce, and the way we are going to introduce features, e-commerce features into GoodBarber will be done the same way we did for other type of content. If we can, if we have access to APIs and things that let us retrieve the content and then organize it the way we want inside the app, it will be done for those type of services you mentioned. If it's not possible, we will have to find turnarounds, and sometimes it's not possible to have them inside GoodBarber. So I can't tell you now yes or no, but be sure that we are going to work on the e-commerce features. Okay, question from Ken, our friend Ken, who helped us to translate GoodBarber in Norwegian. So when using the template number 6, I can find the summary section to tick off. Is this with purpose? Difficult to answer you during the webinar. I need to go to check the template on your website, on your project, to see how is your configuration. What I suggest is you open a ticket to the support, and we will look at this and answer you with the support. Speaking about the support, let's go back to my backend. Remember, a few minutes ago, we have opened a ticket. And as you can see here, on the top right corner, there is a notification. And I've got one answer. Someone told me, yes, Deborah told me it's possible. And she pointed me to the right online help to explain me how to connect my account to Instagram. New question from Andrews. What will be the topic of your next webinar? Will webinars be a regular thing? How often? So if you liked this webinar, there will be more, but I want to make more webinars. The next subject, I wanted to speak about submission, how to submit the app, how to build and submit, to make a focus on that. But if you have suggestions, if you have things you want we speak about, you can use the Google Plus page. And under this webinar, in the Google Plus page, you can put suggestions, and we can adapt the subject of the webinar based on what you want we speak about. Okay, so it looks like I'm done with questions. I see, Grid, you speak about the podcast. So what I suggest, you open a ticket and we will precisely see with you how to handle your podcast need. So as far as I can see, there are no more questions, no more new questions. Yes, there is one, Alessio. How many apps can I build with an account? So an account, in fact, when you register to GoodBarber, you choose a name for your project, an email and a password. The email and the password is your account ID, is an ID that can be used for all the projects you can build with GoodBarber or WMaker. So you can create as many projects as you want with those credentials, and they will be associated to one person, to you. Now, with one subscription, you can have one app running. So if the question was, if I take the standard plan, can I make 1, 2, or 3 apps running under this plan? The answer is no, because one subscription is used to make one app running on 3 platforms, iOS, Android, and a web app. Okay, guys, I think we have finished this this webinar. See you soon in a new edition, and take care, and thank you for listening. Bye.